4 daughters, and we went to school in Raleigh at St. Timothy's School. It was an Episcopal school. So I grew up in the Episcopal church. We had chapel every day, had little chapel caps we used to wear to chapel. I remember, I was telling John that I remember learning hymns and learning prayers before I could read. He had come to visit his grandparents because he lived in New Mexico at the time. I was just smitten. I was really. And so we wrote letters back and forth for a year until he came back the next summer to see his grandparents. He came and moved here, moved to Fuquay to live with his grandparents that fall. We could see each other. Didn't have to wait 4 days for a letter to get back and forth or call long distance, you know. Well, almost exactly 39 years ago, we came up here, actually, Silva, for our honeymoon. And we had no idea that we were going to end up back up here again. Had no idea. But this is where we came on our honeymoon.
Yeah, it was sort of a dream. I mean, we thought maybe someday we could move here, and just things worked out. I was brought up in the Episcopal church, and I was an acolyte, and I was in the choir. And when I was a boy, I think it was right around the time I was confirmed, I entertained the idea of becoming a priest. But then when I went to college, that all sort of went out the window because I started looking at different religions and philosophies and stuff like that, and I just, I wasn't sure about my faith. On the other hand, I think the church has been a really big part of my life. I feel glad that we found a church family here. When we first moved here about 2.5 years ago, Marion came to Grace Church and she said, "I just love it here." So I went to a service with her, and we just felt right at home. We didn't visit any other churches. We just felt like, okay, this is where we belong. We love the music. We both of us. Sometimes we're moved to tears because of the music. I like to do handyman work. My boys used to say, if they broke something, "Don't worry, Papa will fix it." And that was true, right?
Yeah.
And I've ever since I was a little boy, I've loved to do artwork, and I like to draw and paint, and I play guitar. I like to write songs and compose instrumental music. And I like to be engaged in something constructive, creative, all the time.
I'm recently retired, thank the Lord. A school counselor for over 30 years. And the last 10 years I was at an alternative school. It was a very, very taxing career. And I loved being a counselor, but it really, those last few years were really hard on me. I kept saying, I just need some trees and birds. I've got to have some trees and birds.
Trees and birds was Marion's mantra.
It was my mantra, yes, and everybody knew it. And that's what kept me going about that last year, I guess, trees and birds, trees and birds. David Henry, he just turned 30 last and he lives in Raleigh, and he is, oh my gosh, programming, does music. He is a traditional Scottish fiddler, and he's won all sorts of awards with that. Well, our oldest boy, Mitchell, that's Mitchell. Yeah.
This is him.
He was born in Albuquerque, and we lived there for about a year before we moved back to North Carolina, so we could be here with my family. We lost to suicide in 2016, February 13th, the day before my birthday. He was 27. I remember writing Mitchell's obituary, and it was very important to me that people know what happened. My mother at first said, "Oh, you said that?" I said, "Yes, Mama, I think it's important that everybody knows." And almost immediately, she changed. At his funeral, the church was just overflowing. And I wanted it to be happy and joyous, and that's what I wanted, to celebrate his life, not the tragedy of his death and the suffering he had. It's so important for other people to hear about it, other family members to hear.
A lot of times, suicide in a family can break up a marriage. Suicide and mental illness and addiction, all that stuff can break up a marriage. But we've been there for each other, and I think these days the church is there for us. We just get so much comfort from being part of this family.